Welcome to another Guzzling Gourmet baking session. Now we're getting ready for Halloween, getting ready for All Saints Day, All Souls Day, not All Saints Day, All Souls Day, which is 2nd of November. 2nd of November. So we're going to make a soulmas cake or a harcake. So this was a traditional Lancashire cake, ginger cake, that was made to be eaten particularly on All Souls Day. And now actually this cake benefits from maturing after you've made it, anything for a week before you serve it, and in fact you should at least let it sort of mature, if you like, for at least a week before you eat it. Now this is made traditionally with oats. Okay, so I've got some fine oatmeal here. Okay, I only had medium, so I gave it a bit of a blitz in the blender. You're going to need one beaten egg, 15 grams of ground ginger. It's a lot of ground ginger. Okay, you're going to want how much butter was it? 60 grams of butter, 200 mils of brown ale or stout. I'm using up my Stay Puft. There's a little bit left. I'll have to drink that one. So this is going to have 200 mils of porter or stout or brown ale. Okay, and then you're going to want I've got 275 mils of golden syrup. That's like a whole tin. And then I've got 125 mils of black treacle. Now you can, if you want, just go for 350 golden syrup, but I want to add that extra little kick to it, so I'm adding a bit of black treacle. So you're going to want your oven on about 190, okay, and you want to line a baking tin. I've got a square one there, okay. You're looking at around about, I think it's about a 10 by 8 inch, but this is a square, slightly bigger. So let's crack on. So what we're going to do, we're just going to start by adding in that butter. Okay, nice soft butter, and we're just going to then crumb that together in the oatmeal. So like I say, this was a traditional cake, okay, made particularly for All Souls Day, which was that couple of days after Halloween. It's a bit like Yorkshire Parkin, although you don't mention Yorkshire because it's a Lancashire dish. All the roses and all that, can't mention the Yorkshire lot when we're talking about a Lancashire cake. So like I say, traditionally the syrup, ginger and oats. Okay, there's no flours in this, there's no rising agents in it, but it does, like I say, resemble a Yorkshire Parkin. So I'm almost there. We're getting that all crumbed in. So because we're going to be adding in the syrup, we'll be switching to a spoon. Okay, but I think before I do that, I'm just going to add in that 15 grams of ground ginger and help get that all mixed in, because I can imagine it being fun once we start putting that treacle in. Golden syrup, we used to always know it's treacle when I was a kid. Okay, so almost there's quite a gritty feel to this with this oatmeal. Possibly I didn't make it fine enough, but it ended up being more like a flapjack, wasn't it? Although flapjack you'd tend to use coarser oats and that, wouldn't you? So I think we're just about there with getting that butter in. So I'm just going to give my hands a wash and we'll start attempting to add that treacle. So this is where we're going to add that treacle. So I'm just going to pour this in, and then we'll attempt to mix it all together with a wooden spoon. Now, a little tip for you. Obviously, because we're measuring it, well, whether we're measuring it by weight or by volume, at the end of the day, it's going to be very difficult to get every drop out. So you're best off adding a little bit extra, okay, to your measured out quantities to make up the fact that you ain't going to get everything out of it. Okay, so there goes the black treacle, and now we're just going to put that golden syrup in. So once that's all in, and I'll give it a scrape out with a spoon, we'll combine these two together, or these three things together. So this is where we now attempt to get this all mixed in together. You might see it plain in there. Obviously adding that black treacle will give it a bit of a darker colour, which I think will look good. Now, I measured out 200 ml of stout. Did try spilling it just then when I moved everything. If it looks like it's a bit too dry, I mean obviously we need to better pour this as such into that tin. If it's looking a bit too dry, then we can always add a little bit more stout if we need to. Okay, so still got some pale patches there of oats that are not mixed in. So I'm just gonna, and I've got a patch there of dark treacle, black treacle, I've just noticed that's not mixed in. This will build your biceps, I tell you. So now we're just gonna add one beaten egg, and we're also going to add in the beer. And so now we're going to attempt, without splashing it everywhere, to mix all this together. So you can see it is quite a, it's going to be quite a runny batter, okay? But we need to try and get that all nice and evenly mixed in there. It gets easier as it starts to get into that treacle and dilute it down a bit. So I'm just going to get that all nicely mixed. So it is very wet, this batter, but bear in mind the oats will soak it up. So all I'm going to do is I'm going to ladle this into the lined pan, okay? Probably going to be easy if you line it. So we're just going to get that into there, and like I say, you want your oven on at 190. So there it is. So I'm going to put it in the oven, and it'll probably want about an hour and a half to cook. But after an hour, we're going to take it out, and we're just going to put some foil over the top, because what we want to be careful of is it don't catch on top. Okay, so my oven's ready. I'm going to get that in, and I'll catch you in an hour. Right, that's at 40 minutes, and I don't know how well you can see that there. It's brown on top. It's obviously soaked up a lot of that moisture, but what we want to be careful of is not drying out too much. It's already cracking on top. So although I said earlier about an hour, I've been keeping my eye on it. It's about 20 minutes. So all I'm going to do now is lightly cover it with the foil. Try not to burn himself, he says. Wow. And that's going to go back in for about another 25 minutes, at which point I'm going to test it with a skewer. Now this is a bit thinner than normal, because remember I've got a bigger pan as such than recommended. So I'm going to check it probably in about 20 minutes with a skewer. If the skewer comes out clean, it's done. What we don't want to do is overdo it and it ends up obviously too dry. Okay, so catch you in about 20 or so. So just going to check it. Okay, I don't think it's done yet. Having said that, I think it needs a little bit longer. It's a little bit sticky still on the bottom. Okay, so we'll put that back in there, I think for another 10 minutes. And we'll check it then. So that's been out, tested it, and as far as I'm concerned it's cooked. So what we do now is we're going to leave it as it is, but covered over with foil, print it drying out, to cool for an hour. Okay, we're going to let it cool for an hour in the tin, and then after that hour's up, we're going to turn it out and then let it cool completely before we cut it up. And then, like I say, ideally it then wants to be put away for at least 3 days, up to a week, before you then eat it. So there we go, see you in an hour. So we've allowed it to cool. Okay, what we're now going to do is turn it out of this pan, which is easy said and done. I thought we were going to break it up. And so now what we want to do is allow it completely cool. Okay. And then, well, we're going to let it completely cool down. So I'm just going to put that foil back over the top of it, okay, while it cools. And then once it's completely cool, and that's still very warm, I say very warm, it's warm, we'll cut it and then we'll wrap it and store it.